Okay, so we're going to look at making some more useful parts now. Parts we might actually be able to use, okay? And up until now, generally we've just used one command, such as sweep, to make one particular part. But now we're going to look at parts that require a variety of commands. And this is what you would be faced with in the real world. So if you go to the resources that came with the course, and you open the PDF called example part 01, then you'll see the sketch I have open here. So I want you to imagine you've just been given this. You'll be lucky to get something marked up this way, because obviously it's already been drawn up by someone. It's more likely you'll be given something sketched out by hand on a bit of rough dirty paper, maybe the back of a cigarette packet, that kind of thing, and you'd have to decipher it. But to make your life easy, for the sake of this course, this is the kind of thing we're going to work from. Okay, so when you have your dimensions and you begin modelling a part, it's good to sit down with it and just take a couple of minutes to go through and think to yourself, right, what's the best way I could break this down? Okay, no matter how complex a part looks, and this isn't that complex, but sometimes you will get really complex looking parts, you just break them down bit by bit, section by section, and you will see they are just simple forms, a mixture of simple forms. One thing that's good that I was told when I was learning Inventor is when you're away from your computer, as you're walking around, just look at random objects as you go about your business, whether it's a door handle or a bit of balcony or anything. Just look at random objects as you're walking around and think to yourself, how would I actually go about modelling that? And you quickly get this kind of mindset of breaking things down into their parts and seeing them as extrusions and sweeps and revolves and that kind of thing. And that's a really good practice, actually. It really is a good way to get your mind into that mindset of thinking how best and easiest to model things. In industry, it's all about speed, so again, it's good to break it down and think about the quickest way you would do something. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes looking at this, and the first thing that stands out to me straight away is the center section. It's really just a piece of pipe. It's not got any curves or anything, it's a straight section. It's a cylinder, basically, a hollowed out cylinder. So straight away I'm thinking, to make this, I would just draw a circle 100 diameter with another circle inside 80 diameter and extrude it 200 millimeters, and that's your center section done. Simple. Okay, but what about these? Well, whenever you're confronted with parts that are the same, so here we have 4 of these lugs on the side, they're identical. Whenever you have features that are identical like that, you should automatically be thinking about patterns. So this is, you only want to draw anything once, then if ever you need to change it, they all change. So straight away, anything that's the same, you're thinking patterns. And in this case, I would want to draw one of these to these dimensions and then do a circular pattern, 4 of them around this center point. There we go. So I'm just going to look at drawing this, one of these. We have our dimensions, so it's quite a simple sketch this. And then it's just a case of extruding it. It's 10 millimeters thick. So if we can draw this profile once and extrude it 10 millimeters, we just need to copy it, revolve it. Sorry, not revolve. Do a circular pattern 4 times. Okay, or 3 copies of our original. So we have 4 items. So that's what I would be looking at doing. So really we just need to sketch this. But where do we sketch it? Well, as long as we do our sketch on the plane, and this is why we go back to keeping things symmetrical, as long as we do our circular sketch for this center section from the midpoint then we can use the other plane. We will have a plane going through the center where we can draw this. Okay. So if you didn't quite grasp that, if you didn't quite get that, you will in a minute when we actually draw it. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to make this part. So let's go to Inventor and select a new millimeter part file. Okay. Now I'm going to switch backwards and forwards because I want you to be able to follow along with what I'm looking at. There's no point me looking at a piece of paper or having it on a separate screen because I'm recording this screen and this is what I want you to see. Okay, but again, it's probably easier if you print it out or have it on a different one. So the first thing I want to do is create the center section, the pipe section, which is 100mm diameter and 80mm diameter inside. Okay, so I will go to Sketch, I'll go on this plane, I'll click the center point circle and making sure, I'll go on the center point, I'll do 100mm diameter and zoom out. I'll then do another circle, again making sure I'm on the center point at 80mm and just click Finish Sketch. I'm going to go back and this is 200mm high, so I can extrude this 200, and I'm going to do it symmetrical. Okay. The reason I do it symmetrical is so we keep it, if I turn on this plane, we keep it either side of the plane. Remember what I said about keeping symmetrical? We've got symmetry down through this plane, left and right side, and we've got symmetry above and below, so we should keep that symmetrical. We're not going to, in this case, because it's so simple, I'm only going to use a symmetry plane here in order to help us really. I'm going to draw this whole section, but it's good practice to draw it that way. Okay, so now we've done that. Now we've got our center section pipe. So let's look at drawing these. Okay,